opportunities and creates new scenarios from situations that appeared hopeless. Just this idea that the Lord opens doors and he creates new scenarios out of that which seems hopeless. And so just that we can offer this time of hope and of restoration. And I think that's what's so beautiful about the speakers that we have today, is just this message of hope. And I was recently on a retreat with the Phoenix Diocesan Council of Catholic Women and reflecting on this year's Women's Conference, and the theme for the Women's Conference this year has been released, and it's a passage from the book of Esther, Esther 4:14, and it says, "Perhaps you were born for such a time as this." And I think it's really pertinent and something I've been reflecting on, that we can talk and talk and talk about how we wish we could have lived in a different time where things weren't so bad, but the fact is that the Lord chose us in this time. And so perhaps we were born for such a time as this. And that we want to live the virtue of magnanimity, that we want to live greatness in this time and have courage to have hope. So I hope that this time is that for all of us, and for you especially as leaders. And I think there has been no greater lesson for me to learn hope and courage than to be in the presence of this diocese and to be in the presence of Bishop Olmsted. What a witness to me of hope and of joy and courage. And so I am so grateful that he's here with us today and that he'll be able to share his reflections. He's been here for now going on 13 years. In December 2003, he was incarnated into the Diocese of Phoenix as bishop, and so we're very grateful to have had such a wonderful bishop for all this time and continue to be grateful. He's from Kansas. My dad's from Kansas, and my mom, actually, I didn't say this in the beginning, my mom was able to join us. She surprised me, so I'm so grateful. But my dad is from Kansas, so I feel a certain kinship with you, Bishop, that Kansas roots, and so he's here in the diocese now for 13 years, and I'm just so grateful to have, again, a witness of hope and of courage and of joy, and I think you all could echo that statement. And so I really am so grateful to you, Bishop, and I would love to hear your reflections. So without further ado, I invite up Bishop Olmsted.
Thank you very much, Clarissa. Great to have your mom here with us today. First of all, I want to say this booklet is a great idea, and it's the Respect Life Leader Handbook. That's what we have here today. You're the leaders. So thank you for putting this together. And we still have more things we want to put in it, but it's really a great beginning. And thanks to all of you for being here today and for your own leadership. I also want to say, in terms of leadership, how grateful I am that we have Michaeline and that we have Stephanie with us today. Both of you, in your own right, great leaders, and we're so honored that you're here today. We look forward to it. The Year of Mercy. It's a great title for this year set aside for all of us, beginning last December 8th. And I think it's helped all of us to think more and more about the rich mercy of God. Our reflections today, I think, we think about what's happened since December 8th with regard to respect for life. What do we see that's happened? And you could very easily look at all the dark and discouraging things that have happened, and the spiraling number of violence that's happened is really, really striking. San Bernardino isn't very far away, and it was inspired by Islamic terrorists. Orlando. For me, one of the most moving things was the killing of the elderly French priest just as he finished Mass. But as I've thought about that, what a great way for a priest to die. You know, he just celebrated Mass in the Church of St. Stephen, Saint Etienne, the first martyr. He just finished Mass. He's in his 80s. We didn't know where he went. So terrorism never has the last word, ever. And the church has always grown from the seed of martyrs. And we're having many martyrs today. Many of the Christians. We've never had as much persecution for Christians as we have now. More Christians being killed every year. Precisely because they are followers of Jesus Christ. But that's a sign that we're winning. That's a sign that we're living the faith. Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. And the priest knelt down, and that's how he was killed, right after Mass. So we could easily look at all the things that are discouraging, but those wonderful things are there. Today also, I'm glad it's on the Feast of St. Peter Claver. Already reference has been made to that. I love St. Peter Claver. He was a Jesuit. He was a priest. He would go down to every one of the slave ships as they arrived, and there he would minister to them, first with all those that were dying, because many would arrive and die as soon as they got there. But did you know that at one stage he was forbidden, as a Jesuit priest, to baptize? Because they didn't want it to look as if these were actually human beings. That's very significant on a day when we come here, because there's a whole group of people that our government doesn't want to recognize as human beings. And that many of our contemporaries don't want to recognize as human beings because it changes what you can do. And that was Catholic slave owners and Catholic people who ran shipping companies. And they didn't want him to baptize. But it didn't stop him from giving a witness that we honor yet today. So we give thanks to God for St. Peter Claver. And then what is not a big surprise, but all the amazing accelerating confusion about gender identity that's followed upon the Supreme Court decision of 14 months ago. So we could really get discouraged about that. And there's so much nonsense that's happening as a result of that. So that we're even told which bathroom you want to go to is really your own choice, and whether it matters to women being safe or children being safe shouldn't be taken into consideration. Stuff's craziness. So there's plenty of reasons why we could be discouraged. But it isn't worth going on and on about that, because those things won't last. They can't last. Who would actually think in the long run that these things are good ideas? They aren't. I mean, God's plans for marriage have been here a while. And false ideas have come in and out from down through all of history. So it's not unusual that we have to face these from time to time in history. And this is our moment. Thank you, Clarissa, for reminding us. This is our moment, indeed, when we have the privilege of bearing witness to Jesus and to his gospel of life. And what I'd like to do today is just to show the primary aim of mercy, the primary work of mercy. And this comes especially from, I had the privilege of working, as you know, with John Paul II for 9.5 years. And the encyclical that most impressed me of John Paul II was the second one which he put out, which is Dives in Misericordia, rich in mercy. It's a powerful, powerful document. It's referred to by Pope Francis himself in his bull benediction when he declared the year of mercy. But he has one part in there that especially is meaningful for us when we think about Respect Life. He says that the primary aim of mercy is to restore human dignity. To restore human dignity. So we think about violence, terrorism, lies about the human person, lies about marriage, sin. It distorts the dignity, the identity, the mission of men, women, and children. Over and over, it's their dignity that's being assaulted. But mercy restores dignity. And then he has this wonderful section, St. John Paul II, on the parable of the prodigal son, and how the parable of the prodigal son in a particular way opens us up to see how this takes place. So, as you know, the father, he's waiting, he's looking We don't know how many years it's been since his youngest son has run off and insisted he get his inheritance. And yet he's looking for him to come. And as soon as he sees him coming, he runs out to him. John Paul says he was charged with affection. Isn't that a beautiful title? To be charged with affection. I would hope that would be what the Lord would give me when I see somebody a little difficult to love. I could use a charge of affection. But I think that's what it was saying. It's like, being plugged in to God, to the energy that flows, the grace that flows from the source of mercy, which is Jesus on the cross. Then we're told he ran out to meet him. He threw his arms around him. He kissed him. And so you see this abundant generosity flows from being charged with affection. I think this is Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Her ability to see every single person and concentrate on that person at that moment. And the fact that the very first place that she started, when she left the Sisters of Loretto to move out and begin the Missionaries of Charity, was the house for the dying. So she knew they would not recover life. They would live maybe 12 hours, 24 hours, maybe 48 hours at the most. But she was convinced that that's the most important time in life, because you're just getting ready to go back to your eternal Father with whom you'll be for all eternity. And so those moments. So if we're charged with affection, and we really focus one by one, whatever person's before us, God can work amazingly through that. But John Paul II says that something even deeper than reconciliation between the Father and Son happened when the Son came home. St. John Paul II puts it this way: a profound good was saved, sonship. Profound good was saved by the Father's embrace of His Son. The good of His Son's humanity. Although the Son has squandered the inheritance, nevertheless his humanity was saved. It's been, in a way, found again. He found his human dignity again. That's the most important thing that the Son had. And that's why the Father says to the older son, "But now we must celebrate and rejoice, because your brother was dead." His humanity was dead. And he's come back to life again. He was lost, and he has been found. The Father's compassion is totally concentrated upon the humanity of the lost son, upon his human dignity. Terrorism, violence, falsehoods about human persons, about marriage, they never will have the last word. Mercy's already had the last word. It's just being echoed down through history. And its power, by God's providence, comes in through weakness, through our own weakness, and when we allow the Lord to work through the likes of you and me. I see many people in this year discovering the mercy of God. And that's why I'm confident that the Lord, as we face things that break our hearts and stagger our imagination that are wrong, that a much far more powerful force is at work, and eyes of faith can see those. May we have eyes of faith. God bless you.